Blaber and Jojopyun, kind of anything a little bit more in scrims, but on stage, they just look like a beast. So going up against Shopify Rebellion, them as a team, they need to be able to be a lot more solid fundamentally. It's going to be tough now having B-Boy on the squad just coming in week 2. But honestly, in their loss, I didn't feel like it had anything to do with his individual performance. So do want to see at least a little bit more time spent. But that being said, Udyr is the lock-in. Yep. We've seen him actually have quite a bit of success within the LCS. Yeah. And I think FakeGod is going to be able to operate it well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I am curious to see what Fudge decides to bring, obviously.
Big smile.
He's hovering the Aatrox now. I'm kind of hoping for a hard counter like a Darius or something. I don't know if he'll go for it, though. That does require, nope. Aatrox locked in, a bit different of kind of a team comp execution. And we'll see if this Kalista is locked in for Berserker and Vulcan. A lane that can be incredibly dominant, especially with a Kalista pick like this.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I think the usual first pick whenever Kalista is available is that champion. But it seems like, at least for teams that are not really dedicated to playing around bot lane, they just want to move away from it. Doesn't really make sense for them to actually go for a Kalista pick if they're not really incentivized to play towards it as a squad.
I can also understand with the strengths of C9, with Jojo being so strong mid and Berserker being so strong bot lane, actually wanting to deny Udyr as a pick. But now that we have Sion locked in...
Where's it going?
I mean, this is just their top side.
Where are these picks going?
Okay.
I assume Lillia jungle and then maybe Sion.
Live patch first.
I think it's Sion, Udyr, Flex. Insanity has played Udyr mid in the past.
Yes.
This is true.
So they're gonna just see what Jojo ends up playing mid lane, and then I think just swap it around. That's my prediction. And then Lillia, we saw yesterday, can just pump damage. So I like it. I like it. They're doing it different. This is what we thought Insanity was going to do yesterday. We're asking Chad if he'd play something new. I think we have our answer today.
It's going to be interesting just because, hey, now you recognize you're going up against a Kalista. It could just be a trap versus Kalista in general, knowing you have to go up against a lot of beefy champions that can just get straight through you. If Udyr wants to double E to ignore CC to just get right on top of Kalista, that is an option. Of course, Sion's always going to be a really annoying pick, and against a lot of short-range, mid-range champions, Lillia tends to thrive. So it's interesting. I want to see what they round out the comp with, but it is going to be a fun look versus Cloud9.
Yeah, and then on the Cloud9 side, I'm actually really curious to see what they end up picking for Blaber as they have banned out the Aphelios for B-Boy. Because again, this Kalista Renata lane is something that you do kind of want to play around. It's another one of those lanes that can have amazing objective control on the bot side, start early Drake stacking. C9 has been really, really smart about when they take grubs, when they take Drake, making sure to keep both of those things in mind. So I'm curious to see what Blaber's pick is coming out, especially if they're assuming the Lillia is going to be in the jungle, because she does have those openings really early on for like a good level 1 invade with a strong early game jungler.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think, like, there's no way Insanity plays Lillia mid, right?
Like,
I think there is a possibility.
And I do think right now for Jojopyun, now the context of the bans are coming through. Like Azir and Orianna, consistent mages like DPS versus Sion and Udyr would have been really tragic. And now you're going to have to scramble your mind to think. I'm trying to think about picks that he could go for.
Exactly. It's not like Akali's going to be good here.
Yeah. You have to think how it works within the comp. Like historically, back in the days, Cassiopeia could have been a pick here, but you'd be reaching for that one. Corki is still available if they want to do that. But
I think Corki would be an okay pick. It doesn't necessarily fit with the theme of Kalista Renata, but it's still going to be pretty good late game for shredding if you went a little bit more of a DPS build.
So Victor if possible, but then at that point you're scaling.
Which is fine. I think it's fine to pick a scaling mid. Blaber's going to be able to have a lot of control early just with the Aatrox in the bot lane. So they already have, in their minds, they already have 2 winning lanes. So I think the correct pick is actually just a high scaling pick in mid lane.
Yeah.
Yep. And we'll see. They might save it for R5 as well, and probably pick Blaber's champion here.
Yeah, I think either one will work. Because essentially what they're picking up against has already been revealed. The only thing they'd have to draft for is then the bot lane, and then I guess that means Blaber would probably rather see what's bot lane before he picks his jungler.
Yeah, that's true.
So mid lane would be the most likely pick here.
Shopify's really
It's Blaber's Moakai!
Yes, sir!
We
That is a fun one.
forgot about the Maokai.
That is a fun one.
So for what it's worth, I think some of the junglers that are best against Lillia, or just champions that are best against Lillia in general, are things that can catch her because she's so damn fast.
Yeah.
So when Camille was in meta, that was really effective. Vi is really effective. You can see why Shopify Rebellion banned it. And then Maokai is kind of like, what's next to actually kill this champion when it tries to enter a team fight?
You
And
know,
even if you take a step back, just Aatrox is going to do a lot of work versus Sion and the Udyr. So I
Yeah.
really think that it's going to be a risk for Shopify Rebellion, whoever they're sending topside.
Nidalee hover.
That is a Nidalee hover.
That's a Nidalee hover.
Raafaa may have been speaking to Zeyzal.
got a bingo. Yeah, did he?
He cheated, I bet.
cheat?
He must have.
Yeah, that's
He
great.
must have been
Or
asking.
he asked Zeyzal.
Yeah, so he got the
Milio.
hover, sadly. Really gonna have to investigate that one, but it's gonna be Varus and Milio, so might be actually on hit Varus. It's a potential, but interesting Shopify Rebellion comp. Still need to see where Udyr and Lillia are both going.
And Sion, yeah.
I think it's, well, again, okay, let's see what the pick is for Jojo. We think he's going to
Yeah.
pick something like Victor, but honestly, could be anything. Could be a Hwei angle. Probably not.
It actually could be a way
Huangle.
angle.
That's a DPS pick. That is.
That is. Oh, that's a DPS pick. Jojopyun Vayne. Oh,
yes.
this is a good game.
This is gonna be a really fun game. Also, I wonder what happened in the conversation for Joe just be like, give me Vayne. I got this.
Yes. Yes. At that point, you have to
lack
theory
hard
craft.
CC on the other side. He's going to be able to kill Sion no matter what.
And that's the value, I think, of Jojopyun as a pickup for a Cloud9, is that when you get into a really tough position, Jojopyun has played a lot of random stuff in Champions Queue and Solo Queue. He's really confident in the picks that he's able to operate. Do you like the draft, though? Now, as we take a second look, it's going to be insanity being able to lock in. 5 more seconds to really secure it.
Yeah, Sion versus Vayne mid. What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
I like the
Locked
draft
in.
in that sense.
Yeah.
It's a very cocky draft coming out of C9.
Insanity's going to be in pain. I think FakeGod's going to be in pain. I'm interested to see what the casters think, actually, as we send it over to you guys. What do you guys think of the draft?
I think that
This is awesome.
Shopify wants a remake.
Insanity definitely wants a remake. He's like, all right, guys, I got this Sion mid pick. There's no way that. What the frick, man? Vayne, what is this?
I mean, this is bringing the pain that top laners everywhere know to mid lane. We're like, well, I'm blind. I guess they'll play tank this game. That should be safe. Vayne top.
Yeah.
No fun for you. Jojo's slamming it down in the LCS. First ever Vayne mid in LCS history, by the way. And I believe it is going up by playing from a pretty big advantage if they want to win. You know, even just disregarding the nameplates and disregarding the records of the team.
Yeah.
One team is undefeated. The other team hasn't gotten a win yet. You know, even before we look at that, I really heavily favor what Cloud9 has drafted. So it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be an exciting one. And we'll have to see, you know, can they kind of throw a wrench in the gears? Because as much as you want to say, like, Vayne mid should pound a Sion in isolation, if the Sion plays it really, really well and just doesn't interact and basically just farms creeps, and maybe the jungler gets involved, maybe Jojo dies a few times, Vayne from behind, you don't do anything, right? Like, you are just a damage champ. There's zero utility.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that I feel like Jojo's going to be even safer in this lane against Sion as well is you look at the jungle matchup, it's a Lillia. How does a Lillia ever lock down a Vayne ever pre-6?
Well,
Yeah, I was about to say, as soon as I saw that Vayne, I was like, man, JoJo's really stepping to his inner caps right now.
it's so funny too because we had the sign in the crowd as well. C9 greater than G2.
G2.
So now JoJo's like, yep, I'm even a better Vayne mid than Caps.
Oh
He's
my
throwing
goodness.
it down.
JoJo's so ready to go back to international.
Yeah, but we have to talk a little bit about Insanity and his champion pool because this guy has been cooking for his whole time in the LCS. 4 games so far this split, 4 unique champs, and 2 of them only he has played in the LCS. The Zac mid and that Sion mid, the only one to play either of those so far in this split. So this guy is really trying to cook up some new stuff. Revan, their coach, is known for wanting to be able to play towards player strengths rather than the meta as much. And I think it's really kind of that cool pairing when you have a coach who really believes in that philosophy alongside a player who can really help you to enable that.
Yeah.
And look at the fun that Insanity is having, literally waiting under his tower on the first wave. That is exciting stuff for the Sion, trust me. You're definitely not seething as every minion dies out of your range. I'm down 15 CS. I wasn't in range for any of those CS, but I am down.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you get, you know, you have fun in the kitchen.
You probably played one of those games where I was...
Yeah, no, I've definitely heard you in our Flex 5 games, and we're like, blue side is like, well, I don't know. I guess I have to go Cassante here. And it's like, oh, great, a Lowy. Oh, nice. And if I hear anything in comms, it's like, hey guys, can we FF and go next? Like, game's over. Like, it's like, Isaac, we're winning on bot side. Yeah, but top lane's over.
Top lane's over. Draft. That's the beauty of top lane. All right, well, we'll see. We have the split lane here. We'll see how Insanity can do. One of the nice things about Sion in particular, you know, if you do have to play one of these kind of miserable tank versus tank matchups, Sion is a really good wave clear. So, you know, on the real, you can kind of just try to survive. As long as you're not letting him get those silver bolts procs off as much as possible, you're just trying to only trade HP for CS. You're never going to be fighting the Vayne, really, unless the Vayne makes some massive mistakes and allows himself to get queued and whatnot. Down here on this bottom side, though, Zeyzal taking a massive chunk is that handshake from Vulcan, setting up Berserker to get a good trade. So we'll just have to see if Insanity can kind of just stay relevant and then find some way to kind of impact Jojo, or maybe they're able to get on top of him and take him out of the team fight. Maybe they're able to make something happen in that way, but in the 1v1, it's just going to be all about loss mitigation. And you can see even minion dematerializer here from Jojo, so he's just going to be trying to push this very heavily. If he does overextend, there's a way that this could work out, but Blaber is already here to cover him.
A nice slow setup from Insanity, at least trying to combo with what little CC abilities you have between Sion and Lillia, but Bugi might be forced to flash here. Oh, Blaber's the one that actually flashes to make sure he gets out of the decimating smash. The burn damage is the flash auto tag, and our first ever Vayne mid in the LCS picks up first blood as Jojo looks to run down Insanity, tries to tumble out of the way of the decimating smash, forced to cleanse as Zeyzal's here for reinforcements, but Vulcan matches the roam as well. The handshake clips Insanity, forcing him to flash. The ignite, it's not enough because it's the last W shield from Insanity that saves him.
Yeah, Insanity does survive. Zeyzal survives as well, but it is the flash having to be expended from both of them. And Jojo gets first blood and double buffs. Thankfully, Insanity got a kill back, so there's some gold in his pockets there. The wave is pushing towards him, so, you know, a couple things working in his favor out of that. Bugi gonna go right back towards mid. There is no flash, no cleanse either on Jojo, but not gonna find him with the E there, as Fudge is just trying to shove this in. FakeGod's gotta be respectful. Is trading pretty well, but Aatrox is one of these matchups in top lane that is really good into tanks. You definitely can you know, get yourself in a position where you can be dominating that Udyr, but the Udyr never really has to fight you. You can just kind of play the wave, and it's very tough to take him out. But here it is one more time. Nice Q, dodging out there. And I think he was expecting a potential like flash from Insanity to get it on top of him and slow him, so I think that's why he went with the early condemn. Then just trying to chase in after Bugi. Blaber with the early flash, respecting the decimating smash damage there. If you do get fully queued by the Sion, you're likely to go down. Almost got the Sap Magic passive auto there on the Sion, which maybe would have been enough healing to potentially get him out of there, or at the very least, make Insanity go down. But it is Bugi on that top side taking the grub, so it's going to be 3 grubs here for Shopify. And Jojo does get tagged over the wall with the decimating smash while Cloud9 grabs Dragon.
Couple things to point out. I didn't get the chance to hit on it at the early portion of the game, but because this is multiple melees, I wanted to ask the question, what if Blaber decides to go the AP variant of Moakai, and look what his 2 first item components. He's building towards that Liandry's, because this is a game where you don't necessarily need a full tank front line because you have so much range already with your composition. You have so many great disengage methods. You can afford to go a little bit extra damage. And with that Liandry's now dealing max HP damage again, it's so efficient.
And I think that the way their composition is going to play is almost always kiting back anyway. They're not really hard engage. You know, you want to be kiting back, you want to be absorbing the gauge. That works for Renata better, that works for Vayne and Kalista better as well. So, you know, it makes sense. Make them fight past you and make them more difficult for them, basically, right? They're going to be kiting back. You're going to be having these AP saplings, these AP ulti as well. That's Cloud9 looking to set up camp here around mid lane. It's a Berserker Greaves rush, kind of as expected here for Jojo. It will be interesting to see where he goes. A lot of people do like to go for the Bladed Rune King rush, but you can also go things like even like Kraken, you can go Stormrazor. There's lots of different routes that I think are pretty viable here on Vayne, so it's kind of dealer's choice. I'll be interested to see where Jojo does take us. Bork, obviously, you know, really strong for dueling. The sustain is nice, but if you really want to super crush tanks, you can just rush Kraken because you are playing against Udyr and Sion, and you're mostly going to be hitting just the front line.
Yep. Sapling is going to prevent Bugi from entering, as Bugi now realizes that someone stole his chicken nuggets. Reveal, it was Blaber. And the rest of Cloud9 still on a pretty decent start, as for the most part, we want to make sure that nothing super eventful happens in the early game that allows Shopify Rebellion to take a huge lead. That's probably, as you already pointed out, one of the only ways that Shopify can make this comp work. If you just overload them with an accelerated front line that just kind of brute forces your way through into Cloud9's backline.
Yeah, and we'll see. So far, B-Boy and Zeyzal trading pretty well. Zeyzal getting very low there, but CS has been even thus far, and kind of right as we say that, unfortunately, they are going to start losing plates. Jojo trying to time the Condemn there to actually interrupt the Devastating Smash. That Q, not going to be able to quite get it. And you can see Bugi up on that top side is potentially looking back towards Jojo. Knows you can't just leave this lane in isolation forever and expect the Sion to be able to be in a good spot.
Yep.
But, Jojo with a tumble forward, Bugi not going to go for it, is instead just going to be going over towards the Raptors. Insanity's too low at this point. He could look to use the heal and then kind of ult in and try to set up Bugi, but not feeling confident to do it. And then it's just going to be Cloud9 taking a plate on bot side and basing down there.
Now, Bugi might actually be able to catch Jojopyun here, because this was the one timer that Blaber stepped away after leaving a sapling thinking he should be fine. And Jojo is forced to pop the final hour, but survives in the 1v2.
Yeah, and I think the chances of them killing are so low because Insanity's basically dead oom. So even if he uses the heal, even if you use the Lillia ult, well, he's just going to cleanse that. And if you commit, he could actually kill you in that 1v2.
Right.
So he just kind of does a little bit of drive-by, steals the enemy Raptors, doesn't waste any time, and hits him with the Q, forces out the ulti, and then says, all right, that's enough. I'm going to go back to farming. Gets that little bit of relief of pressure there for Insanity without overcommitting. Because especially if you overcommit there and Blaber or someone is behind him, well, then you're definitely screwed. And it could be the game really getting out of control.
We're almost at 10 minutes into the game. The first dragon was taken by Cloud9, and the next one should be spawning in... Oh, that's the grub time. Oh, that's a cool icon. This is my first time seeing this, so... You see that?
I do see it.
I'm trying to, like...
I'm not really sure what it is.
I definitely...
But I see it.
Yeah. All right, well, 6 seconds, it will be the second rotation of the grubs spawning. The first rotation was completely picked up by Bugi as it was a trade of neutral objectives. The next dragon should be coming up in the next minute or so, as Blaber's already setting up posture for it, trying to throw down those saplings in anticipation. It does give you so much great objective control. That's one of the reasons why Moakai, even despite so many changes, seems like, why are pros still picking it? It's just a damn good pick overall.
Yeah, definitely. And going to be right back up to top side. This is going to be a 6 scrub game here, but C9 looking to try to get a dive on bot side. They need to get something, but not going to be able to find a great Q.
Zeyzal's not level 6 yet. He goes for the flash twist in advance. Blaber trying to lock him out, but Berserker goes down. It's an absolutely disastrous dive. Shopify Rebellion are the ones that turn it on its head, and it's a double for B-Boy.
Cloud9 gets smoked on the bot side there, trying to force a dive, as they knew they were losing all 6 scrubs on top side. And now you can kind of forget everything we talked about with the compositions, because this really throws a wrench in the gears here. You commit so heavily down towards bot side, you gave up 6 scrubs, and you went 0 for 3 on a dive there. Berserker, the bailout timed out right before he went down. I think it was power shot literally in the air as it times out there. So they don't get the reset that they were actually expecting. He hadn't even spent his summoners yet. We have to watch this one more time as Cloud9, they're aware what's happening on that top side. So they say, you know what? We're going to force on bot side. This is a trade that a lot of people do like to make, is try to get gold for those grubs. But look at that Q from Zeyzal. Beautifully placed. Knocks Blaber back while he already had turret aggro, so he's taking so much damage there. Then, excuse me, the bailout was on Blaber. And I think that's just miscommunications, as I thought that was going to be actually used over onto Berserker. It was used on Blaber instead. Blaber doesn't even proc the bailout.
Yeah.
Then it expires as he's walking out. Everything goes wrong there for Cloud9. That was completely bungled. They are going to get a dragon at the very least off of this, and they do still have a compositional advantage, but now you've given the team a lead and a 6 scrub advantage, and if they get access to your towers are going to be going down in a hurry.
Yeah, I think that's a tricky thing too. Like, if Moakai is supposed to be the one taking turret aggro, once you twist it advance, you drop that turret aggro, and that thing needs to be calmed in advance just to make sure that you know who is the person that is soaking up the bailout, to make sure that they all don't go down in the process. And
it's really been cool to see Zeyzal coming back to the LCS, because he has not had this kind of straight forward career path. You know, he started in the academy, came up, actually made a world semifinals before going down to amateur, making his way back up into coaching, then into academy, wins with TSG, now back to the LCS. So he has really had, you know, a very tumultuous career, very up and down. You know, started out, you know, back in the day was playing with Blaber, who had a very different timeline over on the other side.
Pretty sure it's just, oh, yeah.
There's the Blaber
It's just all
timeline.
Cloud9. Been day one Cloud9 since 2018 when he first joined the roster after being picked up in his 2017 Scouting Grounds debut.
But Zeyzal playing a really good game. I think he was so key on that dive. You know, really, that Q was so big. You know, knocking back Blaber, delaying the engage, you know, really perfectly positioned between him and B-Boy. B-Boy, a lot of people were saying, you know, who is this guy? You know, we saw Turtle playing well last week. Why is he even in? I actually thought, you know, just watching B-Boy individually, I thought he played really well yesterday. It wasn't a loss. He was playing the on-hit Varus as he is again today. It was a tough game, I think, again, as this may potentially be today. But I felt like he passed the eye test, and I'm kind of curious to see, you know, how well he's going to be able to do now with a lead against Cloud9. You know, what a first win this would be for Shopify if you can take down this team that everyone is predicting to dominate the league.
Yeah, and it would give a huge edge over to potentially FlyQuest as they look ahead at their matchup against Energy later today. It's Cloud9 right now. Vulcan was hovering Jojo to make sure he could get this crash in against the dual lane that is shifted over to mid. And now both of these frontliners in FakeGod and Sanity are now taking position in the side lanes, where I imagine that the power of something like this Sion, you know, FakeGod will have to look for a teleport or roam early, but nice thing about Sion is whenever you push out that lane, you can try and collapse mid lane first with that ultimate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, at the end of the day, he's down 40 CS, but he didn't die. You know, he has a kill and an assist. It was a great TP down to bot lane to help turn around that dive. So he's more than done his job, and Fudge gonna be scrapping it out here with FakeGod. Is forced to pop the ulti, so that's a win for FakeGod, as he can just get that ulti forced and back off. But Cloud9, three-man dive didn't work last time. Now it's time for 4.
Well, this time, Azael, there's only one member, so this time things should be working out swimmingly, and the kill does go over to Vulcan. Maybe not the most ideal, but Cloud9 will still take that win.
But look at all these grubs being spawned up in mid lane, those Void Mites, because they got the 6 scrub take. And you get close, you spawn 2 per player in the area, so that just makes it that much harder. Vayne has no wave clear, so when you're pushed in, you're not going to be dealing with this situation whatsoever. So he just has to give up the tower. And in top lane, Sion, of all people, knocks down a tower up there, because again, the grubs really do give even champions that are terrible knocking down turrets a lot more power. So Cloud9, sure, you committed 4 down to bot side, you did take the tower there, but you're going to lose 2 towers as the price. And we'll have to find out if that is going to be worthwhile for them.
Yeah. And it could be something that Cloud9 might end up regretting later as the game goes forward, because when you get later and later past the 20-minute point, death timers are going to be longer. There's going to be larger windows where after a scrap or a fight, maybe the turrets are taken out completely, as Fudge is now isolated, and it's Shopify Rebellion's own goon squad as Fudge is not getting out of there alive, and it's another kill that goes over to B-Boy.
Yeah, great job. Another kill for B-Boy. They take out Fudge. He's playing this lethality build. Profane Hydra really strong, I feel now. Only having to get people down to 50% to actually get the bonus damage on the active. So even at the point that Fudge is at right now, is 277 AoE damage to people that are below that 50% mark. And it does scale up, so it is really powerful. The burst that you can get out, you chunk someone down with the initial spells, you get that passive auto, then you proc the Profane Hydra. They should be below 50 at that point, and in a lot of cases, you can 100-0 some of these squishy members if you can make it happen. But B-Boy really in a good spot, has the Milio to protect him, and Cloud9, their game has gotten so much harder after that bot lane dive went so awry. We're seeing that just so much armor is being stacked up from Insanity. Yes, Vayne is still going to be able to punch through you, but Frozen Heart, the attack speed aura is still there. He has the Bramble as well, and is going to be trying to make some plays happen.
Cloud9 trying to posture and get ready for this next dragon. They'll be spawning in just about a minute. Most of the members are already here in the river trying to fight their way through. Blaber has these saplings, and there's the Leandry's Torment that has already been completed for some time. This gives Cloud9 a lot of objective control and just being able to control these choke points and look for bushes and where they can slow down Shopify Rebellion. So many ways to disengage this fight. Let's see how it goes down.
Yeah, they have the Kalista to try to get this cure. FakeGod is behind them. We'll see if they can get it.
Nature's Grasp already is procced. Vulcan takes a lot of damage, but clean smite from Blaber, and the disengage is there. Already the hostile takeover breaks Shopify Rebellion away from the rest of the fight, while FakeGod, who was trying to move in for a flank, gets completely separated off. Fudge is forced to flash. Vulcan gets chunked out, but he's gonna go. Whoa, wait a minute. The sleep from Bugi is gonna lock out 2 members from here. Decimating Smash Flash from Insanity catches a member from Cloud9, and once again, Vulcan goes down, Jojo's down. Shopify Rebellion are turning this fight around, and Berserker's completely routed off. He's got nowhere to run. This should surely go over to them as well, unless maybe Berserker can get some movement speed from this cloud map.
Execute, probably. He's going to look for the execute. We'll see if he actually has the timer. He can queue over the wall here. Is he going to get hit? Okay, guess. He's going to get hit.
No, man, another kill for B-Boy. How did he go over the Zeyzal? Was it the passive?
It must have been the passive, but we can see this one more time. Cloud9 good on the Skier, but I don't even get why they tried to fight after this, because you're getting the Moakai ult and the ulti from Renata just to actually disengage this fight, just to be able to actually secure that. They all try to turn on a FakeGod, and this is where I feel like they should have just left, right? If you're going to use both those massive AoE ultimates just to get the dragon, you shouldn't be fighting afterwards. But Bugi finds the 2-man sleep there. Berserker cleanses, he flashes. Then the stun lands here over on a Jojo. He's forced to cleanse. The flash from him does not come out. I think he thought he had the ability to just roll out there. Then he flashes late. The condemn was not in time to actually stop the Lillia damage on the Q either. So Cloud9 really looking a bit out of sorts in that team fight. I don't even think they should have taken it. And look at B-Boy. B-Boy's kind of going crazy here now. You know, got a lot of early kills off that dive. Got the kill on top side. 4,800 damage. This Varus has to be respected. And that is so problematic for him now, because Cloud9 has got to deal with this super fed member, but they don't really have any access towards him. And maybe you can't just kite back and play that same style that you wanted to if B-Boy is this fed.
Yeah. And I know there's a ton of speculation about B-Boy coming in for Shopify Rebellion when we had a pool of marksman players that were seemingly available and free agents. But the fact that B-Boy is coming in second day of the LCS, still adjusting to, you know, scrim practice and, you know, overall team schedule and whatnot, the fact that he is able to come and perform against the best team, even if it was from maybe a forced error from the side of Cloud9, you don't throw away those chances. You just take with what you're given, and B-Boy is excelling at it.
Yeah, absolutely, right? You know, you can't blame them for that. And Cloud9 now down almost 4K. The Herald's gonna crash, and because they were driving it, look at all those Void Mites that spawned. It's 2 for every grub that you took. Like, that is an army of Void Mites coming forward here. We do have Jojo taking that tower up on top side, but they just have such poor wave clear here from the Cloud9 side. Like, they've got nothing, right? Like, they can't really clear out this wave at all. Kalista and Aatrox are your wave clear against this siege. That is brutal. They're gonna have to use the Moakai ult just to try to hold on, and Jojo's coming back, but they just use the Breath of Life there from Zeyzal to cleanse it off, and B-Boy stepping forward. That turret is going to go down on the next wave unless Cloud9 can do something about it. They're also losing their mid lane tower to the Udyr, so they are getting kind of rocked on the map right now.
Yeah, the Mites are marching in, almost a pre-20 tower. Bugi is forced to use the Lilting Lullaby to disengage. Already a hostile takeover keeps them in line, as well as the rest of Shopify Rebellion now have to retreat. Multiple members of Cloud9, but as I say that, the burn damage from Bugi is forcing Cloud9 back into their own base.
Yeah, they get pushed back. Vulcan went in really deep, I think with the Kalista ultimate there, trying to make a play, but you're not able to really find much of anything. And yes, they do kill off that Sion, but the Sion, his zombie form actually created a lot of space because Jojo can't just run past the Sion. He's going to kind of get beat down and slowed up as well. So it was a difficult spot for him. They get that first early kill. We can see the initial engage here as Blaber's flashing forward. There's the Renata ulti over the top. Multiple people were slept up by that Lillia ulti. And then this is the play that kind of goes wrong as Vulcan sends himself in the backline, but doesn't really have an angle to do anything. So kind of just goes in to die for free, unfortunately, as Shopify Rebellion disengaging that play from Cloud9 expertly. And Cloud9 now, they are struggling. They're going to have to find some big plays here to be able to really, I think, come back in this one. But you know, we talked about, you know, how well their comp could perform if they're the ones in the position of power, if they're the ones, you know, ahead, which you're kind of expected to be. Oh no, rolled into the wall.
Yeah, Jojo is also pinned at the moment here, Cloud9 don't really have a way to get to him before he's finally able to retreat, but
They can go Baron now.
definitely looks dicey. They chunked a big portion of his health bar as well, as you called it. I mean, this could be a Baron start for the side of Shopify Rebellion.
I mean, they have really good Baron damage here. This is a Rage Blade on the Varus. He's going to be culling through this very, very fast. Jojo trying to heal up off that top wave and get down here. Cloud9 cannot afford to give this up. The TP's coming in. It's up to this fight right here, right now.
7,000 HP. Blaber does not have flash, so he's going to have to walk up if he wants to make this steal. They turn, and they look for the knockup. Vulcan is completely taken out, doesn't even get a chance to pop the hostile takeover. Fudge is doing so much damage in the backline, but the Breath of Life gives them more HP on the backside as well. Bugi is keeping them alive. The Wilting Lullaby connects. Berserker goes down. Jojopyun in the 1v4 can't do anything against them. Bugi is tearing it up on this Lillia, but Blaber's the only one left alive. And because multiple members of Shopify are too low, it is too dangerous to start the Baron again.
Yeah, it's too dangerous to start the Baron with Blaber around as well. So Cloud9 at least do push them off. They stay alive in this game. Vulcan, though, really mispositioning 2 fights in a row. That bot lane fight where he sends himself in, then this one, he just walks up. You're walking in. Why are you walking in melee range of the Sion here? You know, maybe feeling that they couldn't engage in onto him, but he just dies for free. No ulti used, no hostile, no bailout used, no Bacales used. He didn't get anything off whatsoever. Cloud9 in that 4v5 afterwards are able to at least get them chunked low enough, get some people low here. Jojo trying to find the angle, gets that final little hit onto FakeGod. I think it's the red buff plus the Leandry's burn and whatnot from Blaber's that actually ended up getting that kill. Otherwise, it may have meant the Baron going their way as well. But you look over at Bugi, he's really fed now too. The Sion is becoming problematic. Sure, he doesn't have great farm, but it just doesn't matter because he's working towards that third item. And you can see both of those items for Bugi already really powerful. And he has that Zhonya's active with the Seekers. You know, that is the new stopwatch, obviously, in this season. So he's in that position where he could even look to like flash in on Jojo and Berserker because Jojo has no cleanse. So if he gets slept up now, Jojo would just be toast.
Yeah, it looks like Bugi's flash is not quite up yet, but Q flash, the classic Lillia combo, getting a multi-man sleep. I mean, he's at the point, we discussed this on Waiting Room earlier, where Lillia in the early game can be a little weaker in skirmishes and prolonged fights, but once you get to this point in the game, she really feels like super unbeatable because she has so much sustain, not just from her passive, but the updated Riftmaker as well. And the constant burn damage is just constantly applying. You're almost just, you have to depend on really hard lockdown and a large amount of burst to try and just take her out of the fight. And between with what Cloud9 have, it's not going to be easy because if you give up the lockdown for Bugi, then what's stopping B-Boy from just completely annihilating the front line as well?
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, you know, if Cloud9 can really execute well in a fight, if Shopify do bungle and engage, I do still think there's that opportunity for this Vayne, for this Kalista to take over. But it is Shopify on the Baron. They're going to be starting it up. They fancy their chances in a fight here. They're trying to force Cloud9 to come to them. The TP is going to be forced out as well from Fudge. This Baron's getting low.
6,000 HP. Fudge completes the teleport. And Shopify Rebellion immediately back off. Nature's Grasp is going to look for any roots, but Insanity frontlines it, ensuring that no one else gets caught.
Well, at the end of the day, still, they forced out the TP, and it's well done by Shopify because there's no TP up on Insanity or FakeGod, so they couldn't really answer in that side lane. So instead, they just start the Baron. They say, you got a TP or we're going to finish. So they force the TP. Now they back off. Jojo in a bit of an awkward spot. Cloud9 on the run.
Yeah, FakeGod already popped the ghost. Force Fudge to flash. Jojopyun has already been slept up by Bugi, and now the rest of the members are on the retreat once again, looking for another swirling seed. Oh, no, Lilting Lullaby was never cast. That's my bad as well. Blaber and Vulcan get caught out once again, and Shopify Rebellion are just running over Cloud9. This is just completely unbelievable. No one would have expected this result going to this matchup, but Shopify Rebellion are completely destroying Cloud9 in these fights.
Yeah, Shopify are playing incredible, you know, really knowing exactly how to manage this game. You know, from the position that they've gotten, they got this lead. They're utilizing this poke, this prod, this engage, you know, between Bugi and B-Boy. They're stepping forward, constantly harassing Cloud9. They get multiple kills. They're going to get the Baron, and now Cloud9 very close to dropping their first game here. And it would be against Shopify, who is winless thus far. As you said, it would be a huge surprise. But Jojo, Berserker, trying to get as much gold as they possibly can, trying to find some way to turn this game back in their favor. They couldn't get that last dragon. You know, they had stacked their way to Soul Point, but Shopify got that. They got the Baron, and now Cloud9's win conditions, I think, are really becoming few and far between.
really does come down to this backline for Cloud9 because it's the only consistent damage that you'll have. Fudge is the other X factor. If he can find a really good flank and just disrupt Bvoy from being able to affect the front line. But the way that these fights have been playing out, Cloud9 have never been able to set up Fudge for success for those flanks.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very difficult, and I just don't really think Cloud9's comp functions with flank. I think the whole idea was they'd be playing from an advantage, Shopify would be forced to engage into them and try to fight through Fudge, but that's just not the way it's going because Cloud9, got behind, and now they're kind of just forced to play these guerrilla tactics, trying to run around the map, trying to clear out waves, trying to knock down towers where they can. But look at this push going in towards the Nexus towers already.
Guys,
Cloud9 though, they could find an angle here. This could maybe be bad for Shopify, but Bvoy!
Oh, he takes out Jojopyun. The Vayne is gone. Fudge is completely routed off from the rest of Cloud9. He's doing everything he can, but everything that he can is just not enough to hold Shopify Rebellion from claiming what they want. The rest of Cloud9 are left to scraps. They've got nothing left in the tank. The lilting lullaby puts them to sleep as the dosage of NyQuil takes them out of this game. Shopify pick up their first win against the ever-dominant Cloud9.
And you can see how happy they look. FakeGod ecstatic on the player comms there at the end. Shopify on the win board now. They get a big one. It's against Cloud9. Both teams cooking up something in mid lane, but it's Cloud9 who gets straight up just out-executed. Cloud9 failing at the end of the day on that bot lane dive. Bvoy being put in an incredible spot and really doing well with it. He should be proud. His first weekend here in the LCS, performing very, very well. 5-1-14, him and Zeyzal handling that dive down the bot lane expertly. And the Sion was able to TP down to help them out. They got the lead from there. They played with it really, really well. Bugi having a great game as well.
Yeah.
They're always able to put pressure on Cloud9.